Today, I want to go over a controversial subject: theism, atheism, and agnosticism. Okay, so since this is a controversial subject, I'm going to do my best to respect everyone's opinion. My goal here is to have an honest and open discussion about the subjects and the natural conflictions that they may have. Okay, first off, theism. You may be wondering, what is a theist exactly? Well, a theist is basically just someone who believes in a higher power, someone who believes in a god or gods. So, if you're Christian, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, or even a pagan, then by definition, you're a theist. All it requires to be a theist is to be someone who believes in some kind of higher power. That's it. Although, that is, if you believe, then you accept it to be reality. That means that to you, your higher power needs to be as real as the sun or the moon. If you question that your higher power possibly does not exist, then you are an agnostic. So, by definition. To be more clear, an agnostic is just someone who's unsure of whether or not there's a God or not. They just don't know. And finally, if you reject the idea of God completely, meaning to you, the only reality in this universe is the universe itself, unless there are multiple universes, but you reject the idea that something intelligent created those universes, then you are an atheist. Okay, so let's talk about the controversies and explain each side. Now, just because you're a theist, atheist, or agnostic doesn't mean that you hate the other side and despise them. Necessarily. Okay, so theists. Now, it's hard to describe a theist side when it comes to this topic. Why? Well, because theism is diverse, to say the least. There are a ton of different theistic beliefs out there. So I'm going to keep this really broad, and if your beliefs don't feel this way, then I am sorry, and I hope that you understand that I couldn't get to everyone's beliefs. Theists generally butt heads with atheists, but sometimes also agnostics. The reason is simple. Many theists believe that if you don't believe what they believe, then you are damned. So, not everybody believes that. Just some. Lot of people that I meet. But not everybody. Okay? So if you're an atheist, and you are to reject the idea that their higher power exists at all, then you are not only challenging their whole reality, but you are also telling them that you are basically damned. What this means is that if a theist is pushing their beliefs on you, you shouldn't be irritated by that. Because they care about you. They just don't want you to be damned. Maybe. Again, there are so many belief structures out there. Okay, atheists. The justification for atheists is a simple one. It's simply this: you cannot prove or disprove a negative. Don't believe me? Go ahead and try it. Try to prove that there's not a purple dinosaur flying in space above you right now without a telescope. I mean, if you had a telescope, you could do it. But yeah. But then again, if that purple dinosaur is invisible, then the telescope wouldn't mean anything. Or if it was like really, really far away and your telescope wasn't good enough, then so there's just so many possibilities. Okay, so you may have heard the term flying spaghetti monster. It's a popular term to throw around, and here's why. Because when an atheist is trying to talk to or persuade a theist, they need something to explain it from their point of view. So they think about something that they consider as ridiculous as something creating the entire universe from nothing, a magical being that could just poof, everything into existence, and what they come up with is a flying spaghetti monster. So that's where that came from. And it's a fair argument, I suppose. And you know what? You can't disprove the flying spaghetti monster. You can't prove it either, but you can't disprove it. So that's their argument. Well, what's the difference? The reason some atheists may be annoyed with theism is because to them it's often illogical and even often counterproductive. They live in this world where they hear people use their beliefs to justify their actions, saying God's will or it was meant to be. And sometimes that just doesn't sit right with them. They see a world full of pain, and instead of people getting out there and doing something to fix it, they're just stuck with their heads in their religious texts and preaching about how religion can save everyone, and yet everything stays the same. And that could be frustrating as well. And finally, agnostics! Now, I might be a bit biased towards agnosticism because I am an agnostic, so alright, let's begin. So, like theists, there are actually multiple kinds of agnostics. But to keep it broad, we're just going to break it down to two types. The first being an agnostic theist, meaning that they're not sure if there's a God, but they think it's likely that there is one. And then there's the agnostic atheist, and they don't think there's a God, but they accept the possibility. So again, what I say may not be true for all agnostics, but this should be generally true, okay? Agnostics are usually people who live in a world of possibilities. They don't necessarily discount anything, but they also have a healthy level of skepticism. Theism is just a bit too blind of a belief. It doesn't make sense to believe in something that you can't hear, see, touch, or observe. I mean, you can't really discount it, but I mean, how can you can't really feel confident on it either, right? I mean, I'm an agnostic, so I guess that's how I feel. I mean, the atheist side of the argument is reasonable, yet it's still blind. I mean, their rejection of God kind of makes them blind to the whole possibility of God, and that's just not acceptable, like, at all. Again, I'm an agnostic, so I'm a bit biased on this subject a little bit. To me, both the theist and the atheist arguments are valid and illogical. I'm biased. Oh my god, I'm done. I'm not going to have a little side video on the end of this one because it's just so long. I'm done. See you, Johnner. Bye. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo.